Good afternoon, everyone. This is the captain's desk. To my left, I have Barrister Chiazo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. You're welcome to the podcast. And to my right, I have Chief Engineer Anthony Inedu. He's a maritime professional as well. So we have invited Mother to have a lot of discussion regarding the maritime law in relation to seafaring. So we'll start from criminalization of seafarers, because it's a global issue. Sometime recently, we had the case of Heroic Idun, when some Indian ship, one Indian ship was arrested, some Indian crew. We have cases of Nigerian seafarers that were sentenced to some years imprisonment. We have cases of ship being detained by the Navy and seafarers being detained for a long period of time over little things. So we just want to know, what are your own experiences in this line, and what can you say regarding seafarers criminalization?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's very unfortunate that our seafarers find themselves in these criminal activities, as it were. I'm aware that whenever the ship has to be arrested and detained for a crime such as illegal bunkering, or the fact of illegal bunkering, it's always that the ship has gone to take oil without due license. The seafarers who are on board such a vessel have always been unfortunate, because when the vessel is detained, they are also arrested, and as such they go through the court process that, as you've narrated. Some of them suffer jail terms, and I wonder what happened to the ship owner. The ship owner, obviously being a person of means, probably is able to get a lawyer to secure bail, and he's off the hook. And oftentimes the seafarers, I am aware, are made to admit guilt. Some of the seafarers actually admit guilt so that they could be given low sentencing. Yes, it's called sentencing. Sadly, they admit guilt so that they suffer less punishment. Well, it's a treason, what you have said, and it's unfortunate that it's occurring. So I bet you want to ask me, what's the way forward? How can the law? Yes.
Okay, so why? First thing is, like, I'm happy that you've been able to touch the aspect of the ship owners finding a way to get out of some of this issue. But if you also look at it, like, if you look, okay, we are guided by ISM code, which tells us the responsibilities on board ship. Being a captain, I've got my responsibility. A chief engineer has got responsibilities. Everybody. So, referencing the case of this ship, what's it called? The EPA Global ship. I forgot the name. This vessel, these seafarers were sentenced to 10 years imprisonment on cases relating to trading. I think they lifted PMS. Probably they've got license to lift AGO. And our loyalty lies with our employers. So some of this time, a cook, for example, his job is just to cook. But there is a saying in the law that says ignorant of the law is not an excuse. Meanwhile, the ISM already specified that your job is to cook. So a job, you don't even have access to what is the naval approval. Some of them have not even gone to school. But when cases come without your knowledge, you don't know what exactly has gone wrong, you are being sentenced as a cook. You're on board the vessel. So everybody on board the vessel are being sentenced. So is this a lacuna in the system, or what exactly would you say is responsible for this, and how do we move from there?
There's no lacuna in the system. I think it's basically the seafarers having to engage good lawyers to represent their interests. Yes.
But when in a case where they don't have the money, they cannot afford good lawyers.
Well, there's a legal aid.
Okay.
I
you
I
recommend
don't
any?
know if legal aid has taken care of, has actually expanded its aid to seafarers, to the maritime industry. I'm aware that the legal aid is predominantly on women who have suffered battering, physical assault from their husbands, domestic violence, and child abuse. Such issues are predominant in legal aid. So I think it's about time for the Seafarers Association to look into that and approach the legal aid board. I mean, they're quite huge, they're big, and let them appreciate that you have seafarers who cannot afford legal services. And surely legal aid did not limit the legal aid to domestic violence or to the feminine gender. It's legal aid for all Nigerians who have paucity of funds to be able to pay for the services of a good lawyer. Seafarers are Nigerians. Some of them have paucity of funds to pay for good lawyers to represent their interests in maritime crime. So that is another avenue that your union should be able to embark upon, to look into.
Okay. Chief Tony, I'm sure maybe in the years of your experience, you've had experience of maybe harassment by some law enforcement, be it Navy, be it immigrations in ports. So why do you think your rights have been, they violated your rights as per your experience and the industry with these law enforcement agencies?
Okay. I'll give a first-hand example of what actually happened to me. Okay, I might not call the vessel name now, maybe because of some reason. We're on board a ship and all clearance has been, okay, we finished discharging, that is, we're carrying AGO.
Okay.
So we finished discharging, all the relevant authorities has given the clearance, like they will call it dry tank certificate, to show that you have pumped everything and your tank is clear, so you can sail. And we've done this, and on approaching where we call anchorage, an email came that we should prepare the vessel for dry docking. And if you're preparing the vessel for dry docking, you have to clean the tank, regardless whether it's dry or empty, to avoid any sediment of hydrocarbons. So on the process of cleaning this tank, and when you clean it, sometimes you pump the residue of cleaning out. And then in that case, Navy came. They have to detain the captain and chief engineer for almost 7 months.
With the Navy?
With the Navy. God bless, with the Navy. That's what I'm saying, yes.
Okay,
that is where.
Does the law allow them to?
Yes, that is.
I've had to defend the sea captain. It's a similar situation. I won't mention the vessel. And the captain was detained at the Beecroft Navy for 9 months.
Wow.
In fact, whilst he was in detention, his father passed. It's very, very pathetic. I was told pretty late. He had spent about 7 or 8 months at the Beecroft in Apapa before I was informed to help, secure his release.
And what does the law say about this?
Wow. It is totally illegal. It's unlawful. The Navy is aware. So when they saw that he's engaged service of a senior advocate, they quickly informed EFCC.
Okay.
See, smartly, because they know they have no such rights to detain anyone without taking the person to court. You can't detain for more than 24 hours without taking the person to court.
They've actually committed that.
They have committed that offense. So they took the matter up, they briefed EFCC before we went to court, and made it an EFCC matter.
Okay.
That EFCC is the one suing the captain for allowing his boys to clear the tank. It was just the same issue, to clear so that they could get a new bunker before they set sail again. The vessel was in dry dock.
So is there any
So when EFCC came in, filed the action in court, we had already sued Navy for unlawful detention. And of course, we claimed damages and all that. EFCC filed an action. We also filed, entered appearance for the captain. When the matter came to court, EFCC withdrew and said they have no case against the captain.
Captain.
Oh no, the crew, the seafarers, the seafarers, like I said, had already admitted guilt.
Okay.
They released them on low sentencing. They probably had told them, if you admit, we'll release you. So I didn't get to work to stand for the seafarers.
Okay.
It was just the master, the captain, that I stood in for. So EFCC, they released him and said, look, we're going to file a no case submission. Just tell your lawyer not to press charges.
So now, looking at it now, okay, I think it's a similar story. So the Navy has actually violated the seafarers' rights. Is there a consequence for this action?
Yes, of course. We got at the Federal High Court, the court ordered, the case was in our favor, in favor of the captain. And I think about 25 million naira damages was awarded against the Nigerian Navy for unlawful detention of this master. How do you levy execution against the Navy? That's the issue. As a senior advocate, we tried to do garnishi. We had informed the naval's head in Abuja of the judgment of the court. Of course, they ignored it. Which of the bailiffs would listen to me that they should go to the naval office to seize, when we say levy execution, where a judgment debtor has refused to comply with the judgment of the court? It behoves on the judgment creditor to assess, see what you can seize from the premises of the judgment debtor that is equivalent to the judgment sum. So to me, if I can get a Lexus SUV and pick up 2 Lexus SUV, that will be fine. Or 1 big generating set and 1 Lexus SUV. But we're talking about the naval office. They'll shoot you down.
So indirectly.
So we're not able to do that. The bailiffs will not go in there. The police who are supposed to go with the bailiffs to levy execution will not support us because they're all in the army. The Navy, the military, the police, they're all under army as provided for under the Constitution of Nigeria. The other option, therefore, is to garnish the account of the Nigerian Navy. The garnishing process is there. They will freeze the account until they pay the judgment sum. We don't have the account details. So we sent to all the banks, every bank in Nigeria, if you have the account number of Nigerian Navy, this is a judgment we want to garnish it. Nothing came out of it.
So what about the defense headquarters? Because at least they should have a good interface with the civilian. Like, okay, this is a case that has been passed, and the Navy are not complying. What is the next authority to report to?
Yes. As a member of the Nigerian Maritime Law Association, myself being an official member of the Nigerian Maritime Law Association, we took it up with the association to see what we can do concerning that. But, particularly when the issue of the Navy burning ships, we discussed with the NIMASA, the then Director General, Dr. Bashir Jamo, and he said they never supported the Navy setting vessels ablaze when they are caught on this illicit trade. All right, so how can the Nigerian Maritime Law Association be able to advise the Nigerian Navy that they are totally going against the law? This is not how to do it. If they have issues on maintaining best standard, such as our vessels will not be found, or foreign vessels coming to our waters found lifting crude with reckless abandon. There are other ways they can do it without having to detain our seafarers for weeks or months without access to court, getting them to plead guilt when they're not guilty so that they could be set free for low sentencing, and not even complying with judgment of the court, and many more. We are not able to have access to the Nigerian Navy. We are trying to secure an appointment. You know, you have to sit with them in Abuja. That's where the head office is. It's still a tall order. We're still working at it. We haven't been able to do that to date.
So even okay, talking about this foreign vessel coming to this and the burning of the vessel.
Yes.
Yeah, this might little bit look, because I heard they were interviewing the Tantita Service Director General and
Yes.
Why do you have to allow the vessel to even come in the first place? What is the chances of avoiding this vessel coming into, like, especially the foreign vessel coming into the, and he quoted UNCLOS, that is under UNCLOS, and then he quoted on the innocent passage, that is his United Nations Convention of the Law at Sea. Yes. So he now said innocent passage. If they attack this vessel from before they come in, it's as if they are breaching the treaty that Nigeria also signed to. And I was like, does it really sound like where they steal this oil, mostly they are internal waters? I don't think UNCLOS per se, as the Nigerian authority covers, internal waters has nothing more to do with innocent passage. Because in this case, security, we are fully in charge of our internal waters.
Yes, cabotage.
Yes. So UNCLOS should be coming
territorial waters.
Territorial waters.
Okay.
Yeah, before territorial waters, we have internal waters before territorial waters. So innocent passage should start from
coastal.
Yes.
We have economic.
Yes, territorial water quantity, so the exclusive economic zone. Yes. So this internal water has nothing to do with more internal safe passage. Innocent passage. I think innocent passage should start from territorial waters.
What is the question now?
So my question is,
which of the vessels are you referring to?
This like the vessel
foreign vessels.
Yes, like foreign vessels that come to take
the export tankers.
The export tankers, okay. Or not the official one, okay. The one that come to take the crude oil, maybe illegally.
Okay, have we recorded anyone?
Of course, you see so many. Of course, the general issue now is that there are so many illegal vessels coming to take our crude oil away without business. So I'm thinking, if the UNCLOS could not be, if there is a way, if possible, that they don't have a way of coming into our waters at all, that is, the Navy could stop them from afar. No, if there is a law.
Well, when they're coming, they're not going to say they're coming to commit illicit trade.
If I will respond to you, we have the Navy, they have this system, I think it's called the Eagle Eye or something. They can see every vessel at every location, every point. So when you are arriving into a country, you declare your arrival. A lot of times they intercept these vessels, they ask them questions. What's your next port of call, your number, the nationality of people on board, a lot of questions. So I'm not saying that as an excuse. Vessels are operating. Yeah, vessels are not small thing that will sneak into any territory. But where I think you should even come out from is the way a manner like the Navy, their job is to protect against external aggression. Within the coast, are we not supposed to have a coast guard? What do you think about this coast guard? Because if we have a coast guard now that is actually overseeing the internal activities, doing the water policing, so the Navy can concentrate on external aggression, while whatever that has come in or that has been able to get into our territorial waters can be handled. Another problem is when you have, if you ask the Navy, the military now, the soldiers to go on the street and be checking car documents, they will beat a lot of drivers. But police are the one who have the kind of training to manage situations with civilians. So now, when we are now at sea, when you are working within the coastal water, we are also civilians dealing with the military, which is, and the sea is not on state of emergency. So even the architecture, the framework of the whole entirety of running the maritime industry, there's a lot of things that needs to be adjusted. Because right now, we are not on state of emergency. We have to face the Navy. We have militarized the entire sea. Because if the Navy should stop a vessel for AIS, if you off your AIS alone, or maybe your AIS by technical or whatever, they detain you for the next 6 months, you are still dragging case. And when they get on board, some of their ratings do not have this rapport with the crew. They start touching, beating, and all the likes. So all these things, they are violation of seafarers. And the law, from your own angle now, even getting the order that has been passed by the court to levy, it is being impossible. So how do we now, because I know you've got relationship with the National Assembly, with the legislators on maritime issues also. So how do you now, what are your advices to them, the National Assembly, and how can we help to, because I won't lie to you, a lot of seafarers are frustrated. They are frustrated because we are being criminalized. I've got a lot of other topics we want to touch into, but because of time, I will just limit it to this seafarer criminalization. So what would you advise, and how would you help? In this program, we have a new minister, we've got a new DG, and the new president of the Federal Republic. So, and most of the people, the lawmakers, is a new regime. So how would you now advise them with your position that, okay, how can we now stop this? Because very soon, there will be a day they will deal with one ship. The Navy will arrest one ship, or they will deal with the wrong person, and will call for the entire ship in Nigerian water to stop operation. The entire ship in the Nigerian water will stop operation until we have an alignment with the military, with the government, that, okay, how do we run in line with the Constitution?
Just like road workers do when
Exactly.
they issue, they just go.
They can go on strike and, okay, let the Navy run the merchant vessels. Let us go, okay, let us fold our hands. So how would you just advise us before we get to this point of being triggered to take any strike action?
And especially starting from the master, because we are even more organized than the road transport per se. So I think like handling our issue like this,
gentlemen.
handling our issue like this is even be more easier if they are willing, because every seaman must have registration with NIMASA. So we are all under NIMASA. So from NIMASA, in what he asks, how does NIMASA come in first? Because our primary responding place is NIMASA first.
Yes.
Then before NIMASA, then before we now think of going to the ministers, to House of Rep and every other place.
So what would you
advise from this place?
How do we deal with this?
Well, happily, just yesterday, I got an invitation from a group called Concerned Stakeholders Committee, Maritime Stakeholders Committee. It's led by Elder Asubex, one of the revered maritime journalists, who is popularly known as the Godfather. The meeting, there's going to be like a breakfast meeting with the Director General of NIMASA. I think it's on the 4th of May or so. I'll send it to your WhatsApp so that you could get some of your people to come and ask the DG and make your case before him. So that is an opportunity. It's like a town hall for maritime stakeholders to come and let the new Director General know that these are issues to which NIMASA is in charge of, but they're not being handled properly. NIMASA has signed so many MOUs with the Nigerian Navy. NIMASA works hand in hand with the Nigerian Navy. The Deep Blue Sea project is NIMASA Nigerian Navy. We are also aware that NIMASA is in charge of the Seafarers package, the well-being. And the seafarers are out there. There's an outcry. There's an outcry from the seafarers that they are being criminalized for an offense that's not done by the seafarers. They are being harassed. They're not allowed to perform their job effectively. And we all know that the gateway to any nation's economy is through the sea. The seafarer is a mariner. There are people who help to navigate, the sea. Without the seafarers, we cannot get the benefit of the oceans, of the seas.
The economy will be crippled.
And the economy will be crippled. So once we are able to make that case before the new Director General, who is talking about a holistic review of the activities of NIMASA, I think a strong representation from the Seafarers Committee will be important on that day. And if you have a legal practitioner to also bring to bear to support your views with the legal act. So that, to me, as far as NIMASA is concerned, is important.
That is another problem that we are facing. You see, when they want to have stakeholders meeting like this, number one, do they even recognize seafarers as stakeholders?
That's the point. They don't.
You see a lot of meetings. You do not see active seafarers.
We don't even see, you have an association, I believe.
We have associations. In some cases where they will put together some of these meetings, you know, sometimes they are mistaking Maritime Workers Union representing the seafarers, because, and again, the union is voluntary. The seafarers, we actually need a body, a centralized body.
You do need that.
Yes.
You just got it.
Yes.
Because even when the new minister had a breakfast meeting with stakeholders late last at a hotel and suites, I didn't see anybody as a seafarer committee or some sort. It was the labor union, you know, Maritime Workers Union. They were the ones that came up.
Because our case is beyond our case is beyond trade union. We've got, like we were discussing about academics and everything. There are so many things in other countries, like for example in the UK, they've got the Merchant Navy Training Board, which they oversees the actions, the curriculum development.
That's why you're also making a case for Coast Guards.
Exactly.
The seafarers prefer Coast Guards to the Navy.
Exactly.
But you see, if it comes from your mouth, we as maritime lawyers, we've been telling them that the industry is international, you know, it's an international trade. And so for us to say that we are a maritime nation, we need to imbibe international best practices. Our laws are guided by international conventions to which Nigeria has ratified and signed on. And subsequently, we have domesticated it in our local laws. Hence, we can practice it. But how can we say we're a maritime nation, we're following the international best practices by way of conventions? For seafarers is the Maritime Labour Convention of 2006, when we're not really practicing what the laws say. So this is very important for the seafarers' body to come out on some and make a case for themselves. The maritime lawyers, we had an issue against seafarers' wages being entertained at the industrial court. But maritime lawyers are the ones fighting for seafarers in that regard. Then why should the National Industrial Court be the court that sits over maritime seafarers' wages? It should be the Federal High Court, because if you leave it at the helm of affairs of the Industrial Court and the seafarer wants a lien on his wages, what happens? You go to the Federal High Court to arrest the ship, and then you stay at the Industrial Court for your wages. It is totally untidy. But if you put everything before the Federal High Court, you can arrest the vessel until the wages of the seafarer is being met. So the seafarers are not doing anything about it.
Wow, it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot. And I wish you've got the luxury of time that I hope we can invite you some other time. We don't mind to come to your office. We want to really go. There's a lot to talk about. We were still on criminalization. We've got cabotage to talk about. We've got...
Cabotage favors you. About a month ago, I was able to speak to the new group of the Maritime House of Reps in the Maritime Committee. And they are dynamic, actually. I mentioned to them that there's a need to review the NIMASA Act, Nigerian Ports Act, and even Nigerian Shippers Council. Because looking at those three powerful agencies that are now under the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, the acts of these agencies still state that NIMASA is under the supervision of the Ministry of Transportation. You see, they have not seen that there's a need to adjust it to reflect the situation as of today, that we do have a Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, which is the head ministry for this parastatus, and many more. So if there is a case in court, and we have that the Act of NIMASA says that NIMASA is under the purview of the Ministry of Transportation, what's going to happen?
Wow.
So they saw that, they were grateful, they proposed to make me a consultant. I'm still waiting for the letter, but they said they're going to look into it, they're going to adjust it immediately. And I mentioned cabotage. There had been a lot of cries on the need to review the Cabotage Act of 2003. And actually, maritime lawyers and industry bigwigs had come together, and they've met, and they've come with a good paper that should make industry players happy. It's gone through second reading, but we haven't seen it pass into law. I mentioned that at that training. Happily, the chairman of the committee said he's aware that it's actually gone to the president's desk, but then the president, Buhari, had to step down. So it now behoves on them to draw the attention of the current president, President Tinubu, to this paper, which has been passed at the House of Rep and even the Senate, for him to put his assent to it, so that the Cabotage Act, as reviewed, will come to bear as a real law, and that will be beautiful.
We'll create a day that will post very hard on cabotage, because you said it favors the seafarer.
Yes, you haven't seen. You have to wait to see the revised law.
Okay, because
even the 2023 one favor the seafarer, but the implementation
is okay.
Is way below 10%.
I'm going to send to you, Captain, I can be the invitation to sit with the new DG of NIMASA. As soon as I leave here, I'll forward it to you.
Crashed into one of the town hall meeting of former Minister of State, Grimsola Saraki. Okay. At the end of the day, we took because it was a tug of war. And now she was hearing something different, like, where are these people all this while? These are the people actually telling the story, understanding what...
So you need to have a very strong body.
But the people that we assume are speaking for seafarers, in the real sense, in the true picture, it is
Master Mariners Association.
Master Mariners Association.
They are also strong.
They are not taking the center stage.
They are probably at the top of the captains, looking at the...
They are not even taking the center of the stage. They are not taking...
But that's another...
We don't want a body under the registration of non-governmental organization. We want something that is right, like call it a board under the Constitution, maybe under the Merchant Shipping Act, and act a body, centralized body that coordinates every activities of the seafarers.
Yeah, the Merchant Shipping Act 2007 also protects the interests of the seafarers.
So that we don't base it on association. Association is voluntary. I don't want to be part of association as on monthly.
But unfortunately, if you want to make it a government body, you are affiliated or you're linked to NIMASA.
Yeah.
So, and NIMASA is a government.
So there will be a check and balance if they can. Okay, the NIMASA being a regulator, then like in the UK, they've got the Merchant Navy Training Board, and they've got the Coast Guard, the Maritime Coast Guard Agency.
It's also NIMASA that has to create that Coast Guard.
Exactly.
So it's now left to you, as a seafarers body, to make a strong case, before the new Director General of NIMASA, to create that arm from NIMASA. Just like everybody's saying, well, when I say everybody, particularly as maritime lawyers, that there should be Coast Guards. But with NIMASA head that we're looking at to agree with us, and disagree with the Nigerian Navy, who think they can do everything, that they're not going to, how do I put it, frustrate the activities of the Nigerian Navy. No, it's more like a support team, just like you've nicely defined the activities of the Coast Guard when they finally get to be created. So if we are able to convince the head of NIMASA that this is important, this is how it's done abroad, this is who we are, particularly that we have the Cabotage Act, which is a prototype of the US cabotage, and many more, I'm sure we will be able to achieve that. And for you to say you want to have a seafarer board that is government affiliated, the only link to government is through NIMASA because
NIMASA.
NIMASA is actually in charge of your affairs.
But what about through the ministry?
NIMASA is part of the ministry.
So if it is created, carve out as a complete, because
once NIMASA agrees to do that, you are also automatically covered by the Ministry of Marine and
because
Maritime.
why I'm saying that is, if you look at we used to have NMA and Jomalik.
They came together to form
Yes.
NIMASA.
So that joy, that marriage, if there's a way they can dismantle them, let NIMASA be NIMASA.
No, I'm not sure they can dismantle that. We've gone beyond that.
Anyway, thank you very much, ma. We really appreciate your advice. We will work on those things, and we are happy that at least you are also seeing from the legal angle what the Navy has been doing to seafarers. So some other time we'll talk cabotage. Cabotage is a lot, very, very.
Hopefully, by the time you bring me back, the act would have been, the revised law would have been in existence.
So we'll have a lot
And then you see, where you're being protected, and then ensure that the implementation, and implementation is also by NIMASA. So you still have to have a good relationship with NIMASA.
Yes, NIMASA should
and you have NIMASA has a new CEO. Yes. Captain, this is the time for the seafarers to make a case for the seafarers. There's a new CEO who is, with all due respect, new. He's totally fresh in our industry. He's coming from the road network, Lamata,
yes,
to the water.
To the marine.
So this is the time for you to get him to know who you are.
We will.
And what you want.
Definitely. They will hear from the right source. They've been hearing from. That is what actually led to this. It is time for seafarers to tell their own stories. Thank you very much,
Thank you for having me.
you.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Captain's Desk. Only the seafarers can tell the seafarer's story. Smoke Room TV.